Cowboys at Texans. I'm very excited about this game. I get an extreme, as you guys know, just so much joy out of fading the Cowboys, but I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger here. It opened at Texans -3, now it's -3.5. Total opened at 45, now they're 45.5. Will Houston, build off of last week's showing? We talked a lot on Tuesday about will Watt and Clowney start playing well eventually. I don't know if they will. I'm in love with Rod Marinelli. He's the only thing I like on this Cowboys team. He always gets a ton. I think the Cowboys secondary is overachieving. Elliott now, looks very good. 426 yards. He had 152 yards on 25 carries in last week's 26-24 victory over the Lions. That's just the Lions' bad rush defense. Just put 8 guys in the box. 8 guys in the box every single play. 4 stack to beat you. Texans allow just 3.5 yards per rushing attempt. That's 4th in the NFL. Are the Texans like one of those perfect teams against the Cowboys? Watson, though, being sacked 17 times through 4 games. Cowboys rank 3rd in the league in sacks with 14. DeMarcus Lawrence will be all over him. But one thing Watson can do is run. He's rushed for 161 yards. We know that that's given Dallas a lot of trouble. They had trouble with Newton. They had trouble with Wilson. Cowboys were one of the best road teams in the league last year. I don't think they will be again this year. I would love to fade the Cowboys, but don't know if I can pull the trigger. Donnie, what do you think here? Cowboys at Texans.
No, you're right. I mean, it looks like a situation where you hang a line at 3, Houston's at home, maybe they righted the ship, but I just can't get away from what they're actual doing this year overall. You look at the New England game, they lost 27-20. They go to Tennessee against an anemic Tennessee team with a lot of injuries. They took a loss in that game. You played the Giants at home, which seem like they're ripe for the beating every week, and you don't even show up. And then you go on the road versus Indianapolis, and you have a nice lead, you blow it, and then they're gifted a win because Frank Reich decides for some reason, I'm going to go for it with no relative chance to win the game, but a really good chance to lose it. Maybe you build off of that, but your team is what your team is at this point, right? Like, I just look and say, can Houston go out and cover the spread, let alone just winning a football game? Do I think they're more talented than the Cowboys? Absolutely. But when you're looking at coaching matchups, 2 of the biggest boneheads in the NFL are going to line up side by side in this football game against 2 quarterbacks that have some mobility, and be able to move the pocket. And I know from your perspective, Jimmy, when you look at Houston here, that defensive line should be able to eat against the Cowboys and disrupt what they want to do on offense. But I still can't get back the point. Something is broken with Houston right now where they just can't put a complete football game together yet.
Yeah, I'm hesitant. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this game, Whale Capper. I would love to fade the Cowboys.
Well, I like Donnie's point, and it is an opportunity lost that these 2 teams won last week, and that this wasn't like a prime time, like loser coach gets fired live on TV on the field after the game is over. Because guess what? Both these coaches suck. They should both be fired. And the sooner it happens, the better the organization will be moving forward. God knows if whatever compromise Jason Garrett has on Jerry Jones, I guess, may prevent something like that from happening, but it is what it is. Bill O'Brien probably doesn't make it through this season. That's fine. I'm going to look for an over angle on this one, but I like your idea of fading the Cowboys and getting involved with the Texans here. Watson, I thought kind of, he didn't look comfortable. He didn't look particularly effective through the first 3 weeks of the season. He started to kind of find his groove against the Giants and just didn't quite have enough to get them back into that game to win. And against the Colts, even though it was close, even though it took Frank Reich making that very questionable decision to go for it on 4th and 4 and even questionable play call in that spot, I think it was Watson who was like, I'm not losing this game. Like we are getting this done. He's got that kind of winner's mentality, which is pretty cool. And at home in prime time against the in-state rival, I think Watson's a guy that I would get behind and look for him to overperform, or at least perform up to his level on a good day. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams match up with each other defensively. I think Romeo Crennel coordinating this Texans defense is really doing a poor job. It is amazing that the Texans scored a touchdown last week on defense. Clowney was in Luck's pocket for like a third of that game. He was in his face. He was in his pocket all damn game. Clowney was the defensive player of the week, crying out loud. J.J. Watt had, 3 sacks a couple weeks ago. These guys are playing well on the defensive line, and yet they're giving up 34 points. What? Like, this is ridiculous. It does not bode well for them being able to keep the Cowboys make the Cowboys look bad as they have against the likes of Carolina, as they have against the likes of Seattle. I think we see the Cowboys score into the mid-20s here. And if we get Deshaun Watson primetime type of performance where he shows out and kind of does what he needs to do to win, I think this is like a 27-24 kind of game, and it gets over 45 pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I like that total breakdown. I think that's nice. I mean, when Sean Lee is not in the lineup, I like Sean Lee just like Kuechly. When either of them are not in the lineup, I just think fade, 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 fade. What do you think about this total, Donnie? 45.5?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a tough. I mean, look, Houston should be able to score in this football game. As long as both their wide receivers are healthy. I don't know if Lamar Miller is going to give it a go, but it is a lower total, and they're one of my favorite games in NFL history. Actually, it comes from the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys when they had Quincy Carter. I believe it was back in 2002 when Houston just came into the league. I believe it was the same type of environment, a Sunday or Monday night football game where Houston embarrassed the Cowboys and actually beat them as first game in history for the Houston Texans. So that was pretty enjoyable. But you're looking at 45.5, and again, it gets back to an NFL game. You should be able to cover something in the 40s unless you just have catastrophic turnovers in the red zone, which Houston Texans have done before. It should generally go over because you have two athletic quarterbacks that should be able to move the pocket. And when you have athletic quarterbacks and a really good pass rush, that makes for a lot of street ball situations where they juke one guy and you can end up running 20 to 30 yards downfield or have a big play on offense. Just need the clapper on his side just to call an effective football game. And I think Deshaun Watson could make enough plays on offense to get over the total, but 45.5 aren't made to be under in the NFL. That's just a fact, especially in a dome.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.